Welcome, maybe, assuming the voice is working. Let's just double check. There we go, good. It is working. Marvellous. And let's just... there we go, that's something as well. Good. Right, now we just want to sort of align the camera a little bit more. Get a straight line out of it. That should be alright, but I think we can probably afford to go a little bit further in. Unfortunately, I do have to move the camera around a lot when fiddling with things outside of the stream, which means I suspect at all times I will end up having to sort of work through. Okay, there's a problem. All right, I'll get to your conversation in a moment, Mello, because one of the pieces of tech is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. There we go. Okay, theoretically it should now be doing things. And you said yes. Indeed, if they are your two favourite Batman villains, that is exactly what we plan on doing. Right, let's turn on the tunes. Theoretically they shouldn't be too loud in the background. Let's get that window open. Superb. Right, let's get some... I don't know if that's going to interfere with the microphone actually, so let's not do that. Just in case. I have no evidence to suggest it would. I have no evidence to suggest it wouldn't. And the fact that I have no evidence to suggest it would kind of means I'm more inclined to go with it might. But welcome, Mr. Miller Miniatures. There we go. That is one of the pieces of tech working correctly. This one over here. There we go. Music is maybe a little loud. Interesting. That might be to a certain extent because I'm closer to the microphone, but we can drop it down a bit more, I suppose. See how that fares. Right, let's have a look here. So I've basically got all of my doings. Let's see. No, it's done a little bit of extra light, that'll do. Oh, I see, that's not on. I probably do want that one on. Oh, was it on? Oh. Doesn't seem as effective as it usually does. Right, let's have a look. I don't think we need that. I don't think we need this. And in what sort of area did your Clayface and Riddler come from? Because these are from the Talisman board game, so aren't exactly what you'd want. Oh, that's interesting. I must have spilt some of my drink. Never a good sign. But nonetheless, yes, what sort of thing... There's no actual evidence to suggest they are from where I say they're from, but they are, trust me. They do seem to have less light, which is odd, because there's actually more light here. But still. They're the character cards, which I am sort of having to hand, because at that point it will allow me to hopefully engage that. These exact ones! Oh, painted the whole Talisman group. Nice! Very nice. Oh, well. This is old hat for you, then. Unless the ceiling's leaking, which I suspect it isn't. I don't know precisely where the liquids come from. Right, let's pop him on a little blue tack. So that hopefully we've got a bit of a paint stand. Should do nicely. They're definitely not going to fall off of there. I can't say with any real certainty, but you never know your luck. And then we'll pop Riddler. I might end up swapping them round. Depends on how I do it. I don't know for certain. Difficult to say exactly what the plan is going to be. I think the plan is just see how everything goes. But yes, we've got a group of paints for Mr. Riddler. We've got a group of paints and bits for Mr. Clayface. And we're probably going to begin with Mr. Clayface. So, Mr. Riddler, you can disappear off. I do want that. Those were just in case I didn't like the shades I've got. So we'll place them off to the side. Outside of that, we'll put them at the back. Put them off there. Lovely jubbly. That is for later. That is for later. That was a priority. That's for later. That's for later. Oh. More whites than I expected to have, but I suppose that will do. Yeah, either one will work nicely. That's the darker brown, that's the lighter brown. I'm not going to be doing any fanciful mixing or anything like that. It's pretty much going to be paint on miniature, paint on more miniature, paint on paint, etc, etc. There's nothing... Not convinced it is the drink leaking, which suddenly makes me think it might be the ceiling after all. It's definitely not the ceiling. It was probably when I put the water jar in here. So right, the plan. For there is one, there is a plan. Right, I've got a reference image slightly to the side of me. Not hugely, but I know roughly what I'm doing in my brain. Not that that's necessarily a great place to have it, but it's sufficient for now. Right, let's try and find a bevy of paintbrushes. That's one I often use. And then the others are just, yeah, that one will do. I've got a myriad of, as you can see, I've got a myriad of brushes. None of which are going to be used, I suspect. Most of them are going to just go off to the side here and be left. But, you know, I like to be prepared just in case. Right, so I'm thinking probably the slightly chunkier brush. Well, it's not a phenomenally good brush. It gets the job done. Although having said that, we're doing the eyes first. I think we can probably get away with a slightly, there you go, just in case you were interested in seeing the model up close and personal before he gets a whacking of paint. There he is. Gonna be a clay man. Right, we're starting with a little bit of the orange. Don't know. There you go. Isn't that the tradition of paint ASMR? He already looks wet. Well, I may have dropped a drink on him, but no, I mean that is just a particularly good sculpt by the fellows at I don't know who built the game. Whoever owns Talisman, I'm assuming, built the game. And hello, Mr. Can't Sleep Must Paint. You joined me, not sleeping, and currently painting. Well, I say currently painting. I'm currently shaking an orange, and by that I mean that orange, Troll Slayer orange, not an actual Games Workshop sculpt them. Do they really? Oh well, that explains why they're not half bad. Although some of the characters have a few issues. Him being on the larger side, I think, gives him a lot of leeway. That light, very strange. That's definitely off, right? That's on the warm one. That's on the normal one. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you can see it more now. So I do want that one. Anyway, I'm paranoid about the lighting, which is unfortunate, but there you go. Right, that one. Yeah, and the fact that it's casting quite a fair shadow across, it must be doing something. There you go. Right, let's shake that a little bit more. Yes, Ivy definitely has. Freeze, not so bad. They're all, yeah, I mean, they're all an admirable. Is that the, oh dear, that one could do with some work and attention. Oh, I don't know about that. I think your lighting is probably superior, as are your paint skills, as are your brushes. I tell you, I've already written off 2 brushes, thinking. Well, I say written off. I've written them off to let's try and work something out with them. They're just not they're not ones that are going to be used much at the moment. But I do plan on possibly. I don't know how to rescue a brush, but give it a go. And I'm sure you'll probably see many a sort of. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? What is this? Absolute horseshit. I can't fathom the idea of why you're doing that. But still. Also, I will just state, yes, that is a plastic insert, not a palette. It does the job. A bit of water in there. Should be fine. But I imagine it will become very self-evident that most of my habits are not necessarily conducive to particularly good painting, but so far they've gotten the job done. But do feel free, if there is something glaring that you think, oh no, why would you do that? Do feel free to specify, but whether I acquiesce to doing something about that is an entirely different premise. Right. Poke you in the eye, sir. I'm doing the eye first because I just feel like it might. I feel like any time you need to sort of do a model, I feel like doing the bit where you can poke the man is probably slightly better to do first, because then the raised edges are slightly easier to then sort of work around. Oh, absolutely. Hence why I am using a plastic paint pot thing as a palette. I mean, it certainly gets the job done, although I think the paint does dry out a little bit quicker than entirely desirable. There we go. That's going to give me better lighting. No, not really. Plus now I'm jiggling the camera. Also now I've repositioned the camera entirely. But yeah, okay. Nice traditional painting position with the fucking light in your hand, but oh wow, I think what I might need to do is turn on an extra light. Just to relax and chill out there. Give it half hour and that bulb might actually become a functional bulb. If you're unaware, if you've never had them, energy saving bulbs, aka the bulb that will take you at least half an hour to get a decent bit of light out of. Oh, there we go. I think I've pretty much poked Orange in his holes, which is all he can really hope for in some ways. Carry on poking Orange in his little holes. That's what he needs, it's what he deserves. Poking Orange in his holes. Give that a moment. And we'll poke a bit of orange, yellow in there as well, in the hopes that it might do something good. Well, I wonder. I don't think it existed in this pack. No. Wondered if I had a yellow shade, but I don't. So it's going to be, I don't know, probably. Oh, I've already ruined my little plastic pot. It's fine. So it's the top of a toothpaste foam tube thing. I suppose technically I don't need to wait for it to dry. I could just dab yellow in there immediately and see what happens. But for now I think I'll give it a moment or two just to take the edge off of it being wet, but as I say, strictly speaking, it shouldn't make too much difference. And then for anybody interested, while we're waiting for it to dry, the general plan of action. The general plan of action is I'm going to paint the hammer. That's not the hammer. And in fairness, I can't even blame that on the opposite of the camera. I'm going to paint the spiky ball and the hammer. There it is. And a little bit towards the bottom of his feet. I'm going to paint that a slightly darker brown in the form of Mornfang. And then I'm going to paint the rest of his body in a slightly lighter shade in the form of Scrag Brown. And then somewhere in the arm and the leg and the arm there, somewhere there, somewhere there, somewhere there, somewhere there. I plan on trying to blend the two together in some fashion. Now, whether that's going to work, I don't know. But we shall see. That's the point. There we go. I don't think it's quite perfect, but it will probably suffice for a little jab of yellow. This one's not Okay, that's concerning. This one's not moving at all. No. Oh, and we may have caught a little bit of gooping. There we go. There we go. We've got the gooping. And really, that's all you can hope for in life. In life and love, all you can really hope for is the gooping. Sagely advice. Sagely advice. Where's that bit? Oh, I see. It's the microphone. The tip of my microphone's doodahs. Does that mean we've moved the camera in a significant fashion? Not significant, I don't think. Again, I think we can just want to go back a bit further down. We may find out, but I can't afford to do that. Go into very far away. Yeah. Even further forward, I think. Like that. I just need to get it. I've gone straightish. Or at least that's the one that's sufficient. Right. Get out of the way. Oh, Cowardly Viking! Hello! Oh, nah, see, I might please you there. I can't even get into the paint pot. That's how bad I am. But I think I might please you in the fact that I'm not that good at painting. I have oh, let's put that there. Not now. I'm only poking into an eye socket. I don't need a huge amount on the palette. Well, the palette in inverted commas. A little bit of moisture. Oh, where I've got my elbow on the table, the entire table is now shaking. I think, what have I got? I've got like maybe 3. I suppose the entire team there could count, so something in the vicinity of that would be a team of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 things I've painted over the course of several years, in fairness. But basically, what happened for me was when lockdown hit. I'm not liking the way that brush is not. Maybe I can use one of my. Oh, that's a starter brush as well, is it? Blimey. What the fuck is that brush then? Well, that is a starter brush as well. Oh, marvellous. I have got a slightly thinner one that might work. What are you? Oh, you're a layer brush. What are you? About the same. Oh, weirdly. Oops, dropped it. I see. That does possibly mean I might manage to be a little better. But you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I'm going to try this one, despite the fact that I've slightly dismissed it in the past as being a little bit too far gone. Although having said that, I think it really is. It won't actually pick up paint. Well, having said that, I'm not. Oh, no, okay. 100% sold on this notion, but there we go. I mean, it's not optimal, but it is applying paint where I want it to go. I may have to some kind of texture. For the fact that seem to be applying the paint despite poorly. Oh dear, it really isn't. Really not pleased me at all, that. You, as a brush, how do you think you're going to fare? No, you're another slightly too solid brush, because I am shit at maintenance. The Live and Let's Dice Discord, yeah. I mean, you absolutely should, because they're a very good bunch in there, and will probably make you feel better about your painting. Whether you want to feel better about your painting or not, they will probably make you feel better about it. Right, at this point, let's move on to now. Exactly how do I want to do this? Always a good question, always a concerning question when you don't. Whoopsie doodles, Clayface, do you mind? I know you're a villain, but you know, there's limits. Which one's that? That's the. Yeah, it's the now substantially fucked brush. Good. Glad to know I'm using the substantially fucked brush. Oh, hello. Ah, there it is. I was going to say, damn it, Twitch, can you actually inform me as to what it is? Oh, there was many emotes there. I must have set that on. Forgot that bit. But yes, thank you. Thank you for the follow. Yes, follow. Difficult. I'm in a different position, which technically still provides me all of the information I could want, but it just feels like I'm in a different position and therefore doesn't. But still, nonetheless, that one should probably do. Yeah. I'm applying fairly thick area, so let's have a think about this. I'll really try and apply most of the body. Yeah, do I agree with that decision? I think I do. Yeah, I think I do. Oh, there you go. There's the gooping again. I'll do it near the mic just in case you want to hear the gooping. Just in case the gooping is important to you. Right, let's crack that open and get myself a nice amount of, for anybody following at home, this is Scrag Brown. Scrag Brown. I want a fair chunk out of that, because we're going to be doing a fair amount of stuff. Just close that. Yeah, dry brushing is an interesting one. I must admit, he may have stopped it, but if you do exclamation CSMP in the chat, you'll get access to another fella by the name of Can't Sleep Must Paint. If you may never have heard of him, you may have heard of him. I don't know. Very difficult to tell. That might be too thin, but just doing more coats. But he's recently been doing quite a lot of dry brushing on his tauntauns. And I don't know if he's got any dry brushing left to do on his tauntauns, but I believe on Star Wars Sunday, possibly whatever Wednesday, he is, as specified there, he is in the chat, so he can make the decision, but it might be a bit early to be making a decision as to precisely what he's doing on what day. He's very much been doing a lot of dry brushing at the moment, and so you might be able to pick up some hints and tips from that. But basically, the thing I struggle with dry brushing is pretty much just trying to get the right amount of paint on the brush. That's the crucial bit. You have no idea what you're doing at any given time. That's fair. That's always fair. And that, yeah, I do struggle quite a bit with the art of getting the right amount of brush paint on there, because I did note that when I was doing it previously, I was getting to like the third side of where I was dry brushing, and by the time I'd done the first two sides that didn't look very good, I was getting to like that third side, and it was like, actually this is looking quite good now, because I had drained the brush of the paint, and therefore had got, at that late stage, I'd ended up at that point of perfect amount of paint, which is not the best of news, but it did help just sort of practicing, I think, really. But I think really it is that first step of just going, okay, how much paint do I want on this brush? Nowhere near as much as you think, but then ever so slightly more than you think. Oh, right in the crack. Hey, right in the crack, sir. Right in the crack. Just tackle this crack with the old paintbrush. Really nicely sculpted buttocks, and that's one of my lights out already, which is slightly annoying. But I wonder if that is the troublesome truck one, or they're just all slightly shitter than I give them credit for. I suppose they were cheap, so it's not that surprising that they're slightly shitter than is entirely desirable. Let's try and just get in there. Yes, there is a Discord for all my doings and all my thingies. Should you add it to your massive collection? Only if you fancy. Only if you fancy. I can't deny, not a huge amount goes down in there, but it is probably the best place if you did want to keep up with updates, and you know, you can feel free to share your work. There's the miniature village, where anybody's welcome to share their sort of miniature stuff. Just getting in there. Currently just sort of working on getting the most of his sort of body bits dealt with. I'm not really going near the face just yet. Oh, hello! Ah, yes, there we go. I wasn't expecting that to pop up. Had to sort Litman's dinner out. I'm here until mine's cooked, so dry brushing. Don't have any on the immediate horizon, that's fair. But I'm more than happy to showcase some if people want it. There you go. It's quite good. You may see some dry brushing here. Depends on precisely how far I get. But as I say, I'm certainly no expert on the topic. But there is the plan for a bit of dry brushing over Glayface, because I think the way this sculpt is created. There you go. Yeah. If you think the brush is dry enough, dry it some more. Ah, see, that's basically what I sort of found out. But I basically found that out the hard way by going, well, it's probably fine now, right? And then realising that no, it was not fine. And then by the time I got to the third side of the pyramid, it was at that point, it was like, oh yeah, Oh yeah, I now have exactly the right amount of paint on there. Under your underarms. Stop it. Stop it. I'm a big nasty criminal. You're making me laugh by tickling my underarms. Stop it. Stop it. My impression of Clayface. Test on the knuckle or the thumb. Yeah. I have seen people sort of do that. In fairness, I have seen people with just... If you see some of the streamers, if they've been going for like, I don't know, a good sort of like 4 to 6 hours or something, they have got basically a paint mark from there all the way down. And it's like this beautiful rainbow of colours all the way down across the side of the hand. And it's like, wow, you've been doing this a while, haven't you? It's always quite amusing. Just get inside his little leg here. That's about as far down as I want to go right this very moment. Annoyingly, I'm going to need more paint, which is quite frustrating. One guy I watched that has a ship tattooed there and it ends up with colourful sails. Nice! Oh, imagine if you did, yeah, that would be great. If you did that a lot, to actually incorporate it into a tattoo, that is fantastic. Absolutely wonderful idea. Now comes the slightly more awkward bit. And I must admit, I might recharge the paint and change to the slightly smaller brush. It does, I don't know, I find it does help a little bit to have slightly... This one's nice enough for sort of wide open areas. I missed a bit. It's not folds in folds in folds in folds. Kind of slightly problematic to find every single fold that the poor bastard's got here. I'm not saying you're fat, Clayface, but I mean you're quite fat. Way too old to have started all this again. Yeah. I can sort of understand that, because I mean I don't even have like... Mine's not even like a proper sort of gap based on the idea of, you know, I did it in childhood, then had a gap, and then sort of trying to come back to it. I never started until I was very late. I pretty much missed out on all of that sort of thing. When they're digging your hole, and if they're digging your hole, usually means you've got something wrong with the prostate. No. But yes. Yeah, no, technically you're right. But it is sort of slightly more intimidating to begin things if you realise that, you know, the optimal time to have started it would have been to have had a lifetime of doing it. But, as I say, you're not wrong when you suggest it's never too late. I wonder if that was the problem all along. Anyway, we've got a little bit extra light once more. I mean that would be optimal. I haven't really got an army as such, but I collected the magazine collection they had a little while back. So I do have several sort of Space Marine units and several Chaos Space Marine type ones. Specifically, I think they're specifically Nurgle, if memory serves. Because they're all the sort of disgusting fellas. Yeah. Quite amusing. And I do have sort of a plan. Death Guard, yes, that's the fellas. Not a lot of point in having the cloth if you end up not using it, but never mind. Right, that one gonna... I think that one will do the job to a certain extent. Doesn't matter too much if we go over things all that much, but I want to try and I think the inside of his mouth is mostly the brown as well. I'm not too fast if I go over the teeth at this stage. That's going to be a problem for later. More going to be a problem for doing careful white rather than a problem for doing the brown. That's unfortunate. So I must admit, I thought Kill Team was relatively simple in the first place, but I must admit, I don't know it, so I can't say that with any real certainty. Very much got into his face there, so I think we might want to go back to... I don't know if I'm 100% satisfied with those eyes, but... Too bad. Off to have some dinner, that's fair enough. Enjoy your dinner. Oh yeah, I forgot that was the left one. Soudanais Sunday, monsieur. Nani? which if you were wondering is Japanese for can't sleep, must paint, is already lurking. What? It's a reference to I don't remember the blasted thing, despite the fact this is the reference I'm making, but it's a reference to Fist of the North Star. I can't remember the original Japanese, but essentially it's "You're already dead." What? Very, very thin paint. That's fine. Just doing a second coat, just to hopefully, make sure everything's covered. Right in the buttock again. And the plan is to bulk out his sort of hands with the darker colour, and then on to the idea of trying to sort of blend the two shades together and basically see what happens. It's difficult to know. I end up wanting to do another coat of this brown as well. Especially because I'm now, I think I've thinned it so much it's almost contrast paint, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And some extra coats, I think, for the requirement. Jiggled the camera by touching it with the paint brush. No, I just found that a little more satisfying than I initially gave it credit for. One loud wood pigeon. Interesting. I didn't even hear a wood pigeon. Is that a wood pigeon in your area, or did you hear one behind there? I mean, there's a dog in the background. A keener ear than I possess them, but I can notice the dog, but oh, actually no, I think I may have just noticed the pigeon now. Yeah, now I can hear the pigeon. That'll do as a base coat. Whether I feel the need to do more of them or not, I do not know, but for now we'll classify his body as mostly done. So the scrag brown can go there for a moment or two, and now onto the second brown to just try and... The idea behind this is to try and get this notion of he's got the clay on his feet and where he's got it pushed into sort of his tools, as it were. I feel like it would be more condensed and thus a darker shade. True, I have no idea. Will it look good? I have no idea. But that's the theory. And it's always good to know the theory behind what you're doing, even if the theory's wrong. Are you sure? I feel like it's probably better to understand all of the science and whether or not your theory is correct. Nah. Just make up a theory and roll with it. Pretty awkward to close. If ever they feel awkward to close, fucking force them. A bit more. Get them over thinned, but I must admit, I don't think I've ever heard of the notion of over thinning the paint. Probably can be done, but not as prevalent a notion as the idea of not thinning them enough. Right, here we go. Headphones do not want to behave today. Overthinning is so deadly. Interesting. Okay. Have to elaborate somewhat. I'm assuming, is it just based on losing control of the paint and it going everywhere, perhaps? That would be my primary concern, I think. Over thin, it just becomes almost unusable to the point where everything needs a million cuts. Yeah, I suppose that's fair. to run. That's fair. I will, when you return to the Discord, I suspect, you will probably receive your citizenship in the town of, I can't remember what I called it, Drakeford. I mean, fuck me, you're the fucking mayor, you should know what it's called. But yeah, it's designed like it's intended to be a city. So I will give you citizenship, which should open everything up so that you can see all of the little bits and pieces. It's not automatic because I'm not that advanced. So, yeah. It's greeted you, but at some point I will try and remember that. So I'm curious. Let's try and do sort of a quick topic-y type thing. Is anybody currently painting right this very second like I am? And if so, what are you painting? If not, then I do wonder, what was the last thing you were painting? Ah, you arrived at the city gates as well. Well, in that case, again, a little bit later on today, probably after the stream essentially, I will allow you citizenship, and that will basically allow you to see everything within the Discord. Its hidden depths will be revealed unto you. Not too bad. We might have to do another couple of coats, but we shall see. I end up painting with blue tack, which is of no real significance. It's blue tack. Who gives a shit if I paint over it? But mustn't it? I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with the bases yet either. Overlap that base somewhat. I might end up having to sort of, once he goes off of the old blue tacky bits, he may have to have another dose of brown on the bottom of his feet, but it's relatively easy. Well, I don't think I've specified which brown I'm using at this point in time, which is Mornfang. Mornfang brown is the current brown I'm using. So many projects off my desk, can't decide what to paint, but I must dash. Look forward to seeing those guys finished. Well, they will, once finished, I'll probably take some glam shots, and they will appear in the miniature village, as I usually do. But yes, enjoy whatever it is you plan on doing next, and happy hobbying upon your desk. Eventually you'll get through the stack of miniatures, I'm sure. Although having said that, if you're anything like me, what you'll end up doing is going, yay, I finished a miniature! Oh, I bought 6 more. Fuck. That's unfortunate. A little bit, yeah. Slip, but luckily I'm slipped onto the blue tack, so not too bad. That inside bit's really not going. Must admit, if I don't bother doing the base, it's not going to be unreasonable for him to be smearing clay all over the floor, but I'll probably have to try and carefully navigate around those footsies when it comes to doing the rest of him. I think it's still just a little bit too far back perhaps. It's difficult to know when you're concentrating on the figurine, of course. Not going too badly. Alright, let's clean that brush. And then see if we can't figure out a little bit of blending in the moist fashion. I have no guarantees as to whether this will work or not, but a go. I don't fully understand the theory or the practice, but you know, it's one of those things where you sort of every now and again you just want to go, fuck it, have a go, son. And then dependent on how the results end up, you'll either be very pleased or you'll go, oh dear, you fluffed that one, didn't you? Get a nice fresh dollop of paint for both of these, I think, essentially. Should do nicely. Careful when I do that. Right, let's have a go. So let's slightly second coat of the brown and then work the dark brown. It's all browns. On the hammer. The hammer's really nice and easy. I really like the hammer as a thing, but do what? But I might have started this a bit too impatiently. To a certain extent, the benefit is you can always paint over these things again, can't you? C's left. I really need better headphones for this purpose. And by better, I mean probably wireless, because that's the key issue I'm having with these bloody things. They are forever just getting caught up and entangled, which is not useful to the situation I find myself in. One more, and then theoretically we can establish whether this has been a success or a failure. I must admit, where it's drying elsewhere, I don't think it's too bad. It may not necessarily be quite as incredible as I wanted, but I think ultimately two colours have sort of overlapped and slightly done what you want it to do. Which is essentially, as far as I know, the desired outcome when it comes to doing this whole slightly if it's difficult to see precisely what I'm doing, but in fairness, it's proving difficult for me to see precisely what I'm doing on this one. Trying to get in there under his legs and between his bits, as it were. It's proving quite tricky to task, but I've managed it. I've gotten somewhere. Give his basically the rest of his body. I'm just going to give it a little bit more of a going over. There we go. I really must try and adjust those settings on that camera, because I don't know. I necessarily think he's doing the best of jobs of being seen in his best there, but still. Definitely that the where I did it the first one definitely ended up being too wet. Let's sort of drip down a little bit too much. So I think we need to go over that and try and hopefully bring that back to the darker shade where I want it to be the darker shade, and not be influenced as much by the lighter shade. Roll it back to the way I wanted it to go. Just let it dry off a little bit. I must admit, it's taken a little bit longer than I'd anticipated, so I don't know how much more we're going to get through. I'd sort of loosely planned on, I can't deny, overconfidence. I'd planned on the idea of finishing both Clayface and Riddler, but I think fiddling with the sort of two shades and multiple layers on Clayface, I think it may end up being not even finishing Clayface. But we'll see, we'll see. It depends on precisely how far we get and how much more we want to do, because I think the general plan is to pretty much wait for it to dry a lot more, which means I might do, perhaps I'll do some base greens on the Riddler, we'll see. But the other thing we'll want to do is, I mean, the plan, and you don't necessarily have to use dry paint, it's just I have them, so I figured I'd grab them and use them. But the plan would be, bloody light, is that Golgfag? Yeah, I thought it was Golgfang. But no, it's Golgfag brown, which is an official dry paint, and I plan on putting that pretty much over him. And then in some areas, I don't know, this is in debate, but Terminatus stone for a real sort of extra highlight perhaps on some of the areas, possibly focusing primarily on the little spiky ball. The tips of the spiky ball I might try and do with the Terminatus, see what happens, just to give them a bit more potential shine value. But we shall see. While that's drying, let's deal with a couple of these other things. Rolls. I believe that's working. There we go. That is theoretically now dealt with. Yeah, I think he's going to take a bit of time to dry, but I think I can tell not done too bad. It's basically done what I kind of wanted it to do, which is basically make for a reasonable transition from the sort of lighter brown into the darker brown. I mean, he still looks like he's got sort of gloves on, perhaps, but gloves and booties. But I don't know. All in all, I think that's not done too badly. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We shall. The first thing we'll do, and I'll pop it on the old interim screen just in case. Could you react to the mouse controls, please? Thank you. Where is it? Nowhere near there. Right, I'll be back in a moment or two. I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea or an indifferent idea, but when I'm flitting between colours, I do tend to change out the water fairly swiftly or fairly often. As I say, no idea if it's useful, pertinent, or anything else, but I do, and I'm going to now. So I'll be back in a moment or two. Right, we are back, and we have been thinking. Basically, thinking how best to deal with the Riddler. I'm thinking, my first thought is probably try and... Basically what I did with Clayface, essentially, which was, I must admit, very awkward. I think that may have dried just that touch too much. Might be able to get away with it a little bit. Really fill out the jaw, and we'll have to carefully pick out the teeth later. for another wash, which means that clean water is now brown again. There we go. So yeah, basically start on the most indented thing and go from there is the idea. That's like exactly the same idea as the previously, just with the Riddler's shirt rather than anything else. Right, so rather lucky I didn't give that an extra shake because I'd already partially opened it. It's probably sufficient amount of. So again, for anybody keeping score at home, Arsenal 3, Man United 1. No, Demonette Hide is the paint of choice for this shirt. According to the sort of okay, well that's not. Take some repairing of the green later, but I had already assumed it would. That's why, as specified, I'm starting with the most indented pieces. I think this one is going to be one of those things that's perhaps just a little bit, a tiny bit beyond my my capabilities, really, because on some of the sweeping stuff, but not given quite such small space. A lot of it's going to end up getting lost. Not great news, but where else was the sort of that purple? The rim of the hat, which is. I'm tempted to not try that because it's not even quite as high as it's shown in the sort of card art that he's got. There is a temptation. Let's try and I might just need a new piece of blue tack, in fairness. You've returned. How's it going? Well, we've moved on to the Riddler, for a moment or two at least, while Clayface is having a little bit of a think about what he's done. I think I need a new bit of blue tack. I might have to just admit from that. Is that the lid from a spray oil bottle even? Yes, yes it is. Good eye. Good eye. Yeah, I think we need to admit defeat. Admit defeat and get a new piece of blue tack. Not that much of a troublesome thing. Can't know, it may just be a little bit too small. I don't think I've ever particularly liked using this one. The other one's quite nice, but this one is just a touch small. Yes, it certainly is. I mean, they all are, but I suppose it's because it's from a board game. It's one of those ones where, strictly speaking, I can't imagine they ever really thought you were going to paint them. Although, I don't know, I suppose they probably realised a fair few people were going to go, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to paint that. I may end up just going over it in green, but we'll try and get a little bit of hat band here. See if I can then sort of not splash too much green over it when I do the green. But, you know, there's every possibility that I will just accept the fact that the purple band around the hat is not big enough. It's the other Jim Carrey character, true. Well, that's another awkward one, I think, because he's got the face mask. So I need to try and dab in. I think I chose Larian Flesh or Lamian Flesh, or I don't know. No, it's not Reichland Flesh. Cadian, there you go. Don't know where I got the L from, but I think I chose Cadian Flesh Tone for his fleshy bits. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be very awkward because I'm not. Large sweeping subjects, i.e. Clayface, I can kind of do, but this sort of fine brush control where you need to try and just get very specific areas when you're doing them, I think is going to be a little bit sort of like no. I mean, to a certain extent, it just takes practice, but... Oops, I've tickled your chin with purple. It's fine, mate, it's fine. He's happy. He's always happy, look at him. Alright. Let him have a moment or two, and we'll see how Clayface fares, and then we might have to try and do that. Yes! I don't know precisely where I got that one from, whether it came through in the sort of magazine collection or whether that's one I picked up myself, because the vast majority of my paints just came in through the magazine collection I had. Right, here we go. He's still looking a bit wet around the arms. Well, that I think is where I had it. I had too thin a paint. Only natural that he'd look a bit no, I don't think we've got... there might be a little bit of life to it, and we've got a bit of water there. Anyway, might very well be ruining it now, but just... It's one of those ones where if anybody asks, look closer at the legs and ball arm, because I did them afterwards, and they look better. They look better for it. As is usually the way. There's one piece of the model that looks quite bad, but taught me a reasonable chunk, and the rest of the model looks all right. But yeah, you can see to a certain extent. Well, as I say, the camera is not doing it much good. I might have to have a look at some of the settings to really sort of try and get it to be semi-accurate, but I don't know, you can sort of see just about, you can sort of see a transition there, a transition at the feet, and I've tried to sort of blend the two together so that it sort of drops down and does stuff, but yeah, as he's still sort of got a little bit of arm drying, I think we might leave him for a moment or two longer. Which means technically we return to the Diddler, which is a very different villain. Now then, let's see. I suppose. And do you really, guys? Do you actually expect this? No. Oh, good. Well, you sort of expect that actually, don't you? Yeah. Oh my god, you expect me to paint a watch? You insane? I didn't realise you expected me to paint a watch. I don't know whether you're supposed to have one, but you've been enhanced to a gold Rolex. I don't know for certain. Actually, in fairness, a gold Rolex wouldn't go amiss since it is a crook. I'm not suggesting every person who owns a gold Rolex is a crook, but it's a little bit Christmassy, isn't it? What's the actual question mark on his head supposed to look like? Okay, interesting. That's not gonna necessarily go exactly like that. Especially since I think I've already lost most of that detail, which is unfortunate. Right, what do we fancy trying to do on you, Sir Riddler? Tell you what, let's try... What were we going to do for that one? Yes, that's gloves and tie. So that shouldn't be too bad. Or having said that, it might be better. I don't know precisely where to start with Riddler. He's proving a little bit of a troublesome truck. Right, where's new? Let's do the staff, because I think that'll either not work or work fine. Unfortunately, this paint has separated somewhat, so I might be able to rev it into life again. Give it enough shaking. You can hear the gooping. If it's gooping, it's a working. I'll try and design and build my own little sort of paint jiggler machine. I realise, strictly speaking, hands are enough for a paint jiggler machine, but never underestimate quite how lazy I am. Right, let's have that. A little bit in there. A few scoops. Perhaps keep it twice. Alright, let's try and get this cane enabled. I think I made that joke when I first unboxed it. So if you are still present, what are you up to, Mr. Can't Sleep Must Paint? Are you painting? And what are you doing with your free evening, of course? Is it simply more painting, or do you have other plans? Rimming some bases at the moment. Aye, aye. I bet you are. Need to get some pictures taken, but not a whole load to do tonight, I see. Might pretend to be a bear. Just for old time's sake. Suppose you've got to stay in practice, haven't you, really? Strictly speaking, I don't have to be quite as careful as I am being at the moment, because of course it's the first dose, but I think clearly I wasn't as careful as I thought I was being either. It's always good to know. Always a good one where it's like, no, I'm being super careful. Oh no, I'm not. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough, world. You've seen through my my attempts at being careful. But no, the reason why I am sort of trying to do it as carefully as possible is simply because it's good practice, isn't it? To a certain extent. For a sort of novice like me, it's good practice. When you do need to finally get into a position where you have to be extra careful, you've had a bit of extra practice being extra careful. I think it's probably somewhat beneficial. I think Riddler is definitely going to demand quite extreme care, especially it's one of those ones where these are lovely models, but I never truly think how the fuck you're supposed to paint them. It's much like, okay, it's perishing arms in the way. Have you considered, hey Mr. Riddler, have you considered not having an arm? Because that would be useful. For me, at least. I mean, I realise it's going to be a little... Oh, actually, you do mostly riddles, mate. So I suppose you still have to write them down, and he tends to be often seen as a sort of computer... He's a general genius as well, I suppose. But often seen as a computer genius. Nowadays, at the very least. Not necessarily quite so much... when he was first introduced, I suppose, but computers weren't quite such a big thing back then. I just realised that may have, I think that's not been on screen for quite some time, but still. Never mind. So once again, we could do with going a little bit more forward. When I say forward, there's no specific orientation when it comes to the forward or back for you, I don't think. I do wonder. You can't go down an even further step, although that might be a little bit too close. Well, shit. Well, I suppose arguably it's beneficial to notice it now and not later. That's a whole section of staff completely unpainted there. Almost lucky I was fiddling with my camera. I think that was the only reason I spotted the bloody thing. Now I think I can be slightly more confident that that he has been completely fully staffed. He's got a full retinue of staff on his calendar. That might help. still. I do need the camera a little bit higher, because otherwise. Yeah, that might provide. Difficult to say for certain, because I think my arms keep moving wherever the fuck my arms feel like moving to, which makes it really difficult. Still, how's he doing? Still looks a touch damp, so. Fiddle with the camera a bit more and then he might dry something. Right. Well, let's do another small element of Mr. Riddler. I suppose could be worthwhile trying to tackle that tie and gloves maybe. So we're definitely going to want a bit of that. But we want to mix that with how best to get the shade I'm looking for. I'm sort of thinking maybe just with the doing that hide might provide what I'm looking for, but we shall see. If it doesn't, I'll have to think again. Again, for anybody, I suppose I should specify, I was using Liberator Gold on the staff, straight Liberator Gold on the staff, all the way down. I was considering the idea of doing a wooden shaft and gold trim, but I figured I'll just use, just have it as an all gold staff. I think it looks too bad for it either. And at this point in time, what I'm doing is mixing. Can't quite see the mixing now, it's too far back off the camera, but what I'm doing is I'm having a go mixing a little bit of Mephiston Red, or Mephiston. Essentially it's when you turn your hands on to fisting mode. That's Mephiston. Mephiston? Is it Mephiston? I don't know. And it's also, I'm mixing it with Demonette Hide for the hopes of getting a sort of reddy purple, which arguably, if you mix red with purple, the most likely outcome is a reddy purple. Not quite. Oh, again actually. I wonder. Slight theory of maybe popping a bit more. We'll see. I mean, worst case scenario, start again. We're in danger there, so I'm going to shift over a bit more. Now I'm going to mix in some Emperor's Children Pink, which may or may not yield a good result. Well, essentially, I think I want a slightly pinkier shade, and owing to the fact that I think I want a slightly pinkier shade, I'm putting pink in it. Let's see how well that goes. I no longer stand by this thought track. That's right. It's going to probably end up becoming a foul shade of brown in the not too distant future, but we're just gonna slap all the colours in. Slap all the colours in the world into this thing. See what happens. Do, do, do. It's not quite doing what I want you to do. Quite purple enough, I think. I'm not going too purple. What we shall say. Basically exactly what I assumed it was going to be, which is I've ended up going too purple. I might end up starting from scratch rather than constantly trying to sort of readjust. For now, we'll just try rushing in a bit more red into my overly purple to see that's all like that, and sort of Joe. By no means perfect, I don't think, but certainly see if we can't get some gloves and tie. What we're after trying to get in this colour. I feel like this is going to be very troublesome. Doesn't matter, it's on his chin. Well, that one I think does matter. 1 stroke too sloppy on that occasion. To be about 3, 4, 5 strokes too sloppy now. Let's do his gloves and see. I can be a little bit more. Whatever about. I thought for a moment they were fingerless gloves, but they are not. And I don't know. I can't deny, if they were fingerless gloves, they may not have remained fingerless gloves the whole way. It's difficult to get right. The right angle to which you position the model. too quickly to get it all done. Slightly troublesome. This brush is really proving not good. Mostly because I think I've used it too much and it's now split somewhat. I might need to on the other brushes in a moment or two, but more that gold. I think this brush is even more troublesome than it was. Hello, Magnolia Nayar. Is it a real person? No, it's a series of sort of. This one's going to be alright, much better. We'll try. You're more than welcome to be here, real or otherwise, I suppose. Yeah. Hello. God damn it. That was just too far gone as well, I think. I'll treat myself to some new brushes, but then try and not sort of fuck them up. I might first research sort of methods to bring them back to somewhat better state. Acetone, I believe, is one option. I'm not. Need some touching up, I think, but I think for now we'll leave it because the fine detail is doing me head in at the moment. Trying to get the brush to do what I need the brush to do, and the brush not being phenomenally good at doing it. That one definitely needs some work. Well, I probably won't do it anymore because what brush is this? This looks like one I've not used, so I'll try that one. I'll give you a bit of a close up of I can't deny he's looking even sloppier than sloppier on camera than he is in real life. This worked reasonably well last time. That was might be the camera, or might just be a little bit too close. But, yeah. happier to do this last time. I can refuse. Let's try. Yeah. Quite want to play ball with the focus on this occasion, but never mind. Crucial thing is the gloves are sort of done. Shirt and tie are sort of done, but I think the shirt needs possibly another go, but we'll see. Not the worst, not necessarily the best, but not terrible. Right, Mr. Face. Yeah, I don't feel like I need more. I may need to get another light. Not necessarily for the stream, but just this one would be mostly for me, because I don't know. For whatever reason, despite having a shed load of lights, they don't seem to be doing much for my ability to see these things. Right, anyway, let's well, I suppose let's have a crack at a little bit of dry brushing, although that's probably going to be the last job we do today, which often means it's going to be the job that ruins it. But having said that, no, I don't want to dry brush it just yet. First thing I wanted to do was a little bit of shade, I believe. I might be mistaken as to the order I'm supposed to be doing it. I'm fairly certain though I'm going to dry brush last, because then the lighter colours will pick it up a bit more. So I think, yeah, that'll do nicely as a final task. We shall get a little bit of shade out. So let's rotate that so we've got the shade in a slightly different location. Now for the shade, good or bad, I don't know, but I'm going to use the mid-brown shade from the Army Painter. Gone up a bit in the corner here, and hopefully that'll be, that's probably going to be more than enough, truth be told, but we shall see. Right, once again I've got a brush that's just a little bit too solidified. By solidified I mean quite old and not well cared for. Right, let us slap him with some shade. And then basically I'm just going to, there's a couple of areas I do want to sort of focus a bit more shade in, but I'm pretty much going with the notion of getting a bit all over him really. Deep in his crevice. I'll probably focus a fair amount of it inside his mouth to possibly darken that down and make it seem a little bit more sort of darker than the rest of it, essentially. Okay. Sorry, jiggled the camera once again, guys. This is my standard. sort of being hugely careful here. I'm just sort of applying it for better or for worse. And try and get, hopefully, I'm getting a relatively even coating. I can't 100% guarantee that, but let's get it sort of slow in. Hopefully, just those nooks and crannies and crevices, and ideally just hopefully make them punch out a little bit more. Pretty much covered the entire body. Hopefully that will dry and look well, even better than it does at the moment, and it doesn't look too bad at the moment. I think in a couple of hours, so I think we might call it there. We have managed to pretty much get the basic colours down on Clayface and get him sort of currently getting his little glaze of shades on. Let's make that eye look surprisingly good in the camera. Doesn't look that good off the camera, but we'll see. As I say, hopefully that shade will grow, will sort of shade and do what you want it to do, or what I want it to do, I suppose. You have no stake in this. But we might try and come back next week, and if I do come back next week, that'll probably be Clayface and finish off Clayface and do a little bit more Riddler, because I'll leave these as stream bits. Let's just check in here. Slightly awkward using my. So what we'll do, we'll drop to the interim slideshow for now while I'm doing this. And we'll drop Chip Jones. And then we'll see if there's anything. Let's go browsing anybody else painting and see what we can find. Bloody adverts. Well, that's going to be awkward, isn't it? Can't wait for the advert before I can find out what they're doing. Ooh. One might suffice. I'm doing it mostly on random. I say mostly on random. I'm actually being surprisingly judgmental, but there you go. I must admit, I'm being so judgmental, I might leave it, but I feel I ought to do a raid of some kind. But then again, I do want to get off of my dinner, and anybody I raid into, it would probably be rude to just not chat, but I'm not in the right position to chat. I'm in an awkward position, but still. For using computer, I'd like to point out, not anything else. For using the desk, absolute dream position. For using my computer, absolutely horrendous position. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. That one looks impressive. Looks very impressive in fairness, actually. Go on, fuck it, we'll do that one. Not gonna make much difference. But we'll raid into a random-ish. Random is generous, because I have been stood here wondering where to go for quite some time. But they're called Hendarian. I don't know anything about them. So that might be fun or tragic. I don't know. But we'll see. Anyway, so we're pretty much off on that, and I will be ending the stream awkwardly. Nothing is in the right position. This is the issue we're having. Right, anyway, I will be saying cheerio now. I will be back Wednesday for the Hodgepodge of Hilarity, which is me playing video games. Not painting, I'm afraid, if that is your jam. And then Thursday night, 9 o'clock, will be the Bonanza of the Extraordinary with Dragon Quest Builders 2 and Evoland. And then we'll be back Saturday for Saturday RPG, which is Final Fantasy 13. And finally, we'll probably be back next Monday for this, for more miniature mayhem, where we'll be doing more Clayface and a little bit more Riddler, and possibly a third on the desk in preparation. I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I overestimated how much I was going to get done today anyway. Anyway, running out of time, so I will say cheerio and then end the stream. So, cheerio.